Yeah, our heroes have not met a foe so calculating, aware, and evil all wrapped up into a motherly package before, but that is most definitely Alpha. And that's the reason why she continues to be my favorite villain so far in the series. And she was my favorite villain in the comics. Don't get me wrong, I liked Negan for who he was. I didn't agree with everything that he did as far as killing people, but I liked his swagger and I liked who he became after he was tamed and how his storyline progressed. I'm Sage Valentine, for those of you who don't know. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my review, a very late review of AMC's The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode number 3, entitled Ghosts. So I'm assuming that the ghosts that they're talking about are the ghosts that are haunting, maybe the memories that are haunting Siddiq with his survivor's remorse, and Carol with her, I guess you can call it survivor's remorse as well, on top of the fact that every child that she had in her care is gone now, Henry being the most recent, and it's getting to her. And she is such a strong character. She has come from so far, but the fact of the matter is that I've noticed in the past couple seasons that she started to deteriorate, and there's something about the writing that gives me this impression that the idea of Carol fighting Alpha is not a good one. And hopefully I'm wrong, but for some reason I'm getting an inkling that we may end up losing Carol in this season. And I've spoken to other people about it, and they've all had different reactions. I had one person saying they were glad that, or glad of the idea of that happening to Carol. Other people were saying, please, please don't let that happen. Me personally, I'm not a writer on this show, so what I say is not set in stone, but I'm telling you what I saw, and it seems like they're preparing for the end of Carol because there's not much else they can do. And considering the fact that they gave her a flashback, a domesticated flashback, with her being like Daryl's companion or Daryl's like wife, and Henry was there, it gave me flashbacks of other characters seeing the lives that they wanted and then losing their lives. Now, I could be wrong, but that's my guess for this point in the season. But the writing could go either way, but there's something going on with Carol at this point, and it's not good. And this entire episode makes you think that Carol's probably losing her mind until you get to the end. But definitely something's up with Carol. But let's get down to this recap and review. So pretty much a big herd is on its way, but it's coming in waves, like Normani said. I like that song. It's coming in waves, like from the north and from the south. And it would be different if it was like one wave, then they gave it some time, and it's just like wave after wave after wave. And obviously we know that it's Alpha. Alpha's pissed. So she's going to do what she needs to do to show you that she's pissed. And she's not done with them. And they haven't really started, have they? The war? No, not really, not yet. But when they start, if they follow the way it goes in the comics, a lot of like cool characters die. So I'm preparing myself for that already. I always do that with these seasons, but I'm preparing myself, especially this season, for these deaths. So Team Family, we get a chance to see them from hour 1 to about like hour, 49, where they are getting up, getting dressed, getting themselves together, greeting each other in the morning, and then the waves start coming in, and when it seems like they're stopping, they're not. Here comes more and more and more and more, and they battle them, and it tires them out, and they're basically up for, what is it, like 2 days, almost 3 days, battling these walkers. Judith is like, she's not going to sleep until it's safe. And Michonne just wants like one little wink of sleep, and she can't get it because she gets called back outside. And again, the herd keeps coming thanks to Alpha. So Gamma comes to the gate. Gamma, who's played by actress Thora Birch from Hocus Pocus and Now and Then, and so many other awesome teen movies and movies over the years. Glad to see her as a part of The Walking Dead. She tells Michonne, basically, you guys have to go to the border, the northern border, and lay down your weapons and wait for Alpha. So we get to see a scene of like the town meeting in Alexandria, and everybody's done with Alpha, especially this one loudmouth chick who is completely done with Alpha, and she wants to do something to Alpha, and then one of the knights from the kingdom wants to kill Alpha. It's this whole thing. They all want justice. It's completely understandable, but they have no plan. And Michonne proves that when she asks them, okay, you guys want to get Alpha, how are we going to battle these walkers, these waves of walkers that are coming? Anybody? Anyone? No one says anything. She's like, exactly. So do what I say and get this together, because we have to deal with this. And she really called them out, and I was laughing about that. She's like, everybody needs to focus on these waves from the north and from the south. The heck with this Alpha. Let's kill her thing. We have to act as one. But I did see episode 4, so you don't have to tell me what happened in episode 4. I did see that. I have to do a review on that one. So Gabriel's job is to lead the group that's taking down the walkers in the north, and Aaron has a crew that's taking down the walkers coming from the south. Now, Michonne says we have to be unarmed and we have to meet Alpha with a crew. And Carol decides to bring the small handgun. And thank goodness she did, if you think about it, for the rest of the episode, because if not, yeah, it wasn't looking good for Carol at all. So Gabriel basically has had enough of this Aaron versus Negan thing. He's like, listen, peanut butter, meat jelly, both of you are working together, and you both are going to the southern border, and that's it. I don't want to hear anything else about it. So Negan finds a crowbar later on, and Aaron's like, no, you're going to put it down because I don't trust you with a weapon. Is Aaron wrong about that, considering Negan's history? No. But then also, maybe Negan has changed. Maybe he's not the same. Like the old saying goes, a leopard never changes its spots. It just gets dirty. Yeah, that's pretty much Negan. Pretty much. Old Negan's still in there. Negan is just kind of taking the heel. Is that how you say it? To the point where he's not what he was, but that part of him is still stuck inside of there. So Negan wants to convince Aaron that he's changed, and Aaron's not buying it. Not at all. So Michonne, Carol, Daryl, and Laura, and I think it was like 3 or 4 other knights, are waiting at the border, basically where everybody discovered the heads. And by heads, I mean, don't forget Henry, Tara, Enid, the teenagers, the highwaymen, and so on and so forth. So, fortunately, they end up back there again. And we see a close-up on Carol's gun. So we already know Carol's going to do something crazy with this gun. She's going to pull it out. She's going to try to shoot somebody. She's probably going to end up using it at some point in the scene. So Alpha and the Whisperers venture over, and can I say I love the choreography that comes in to play when it comes to the Whisperers, where they come in as like a herd of walkers, or they come within the herd of walkers, because that's how they come to meet Team Family in the comics. Like, they meld in and they become walkers, and it's funny to see them walking, and then you see Alpha remove her mask, and then she walks up and hands it to another one. And it's just cool. I love that scene completely. So anyway, Alpha's pissed that they crossed the border. Michonne's like, we only did it once. Alpha's like, nah, you guys did it 3 times, because you did it once during the fire, once searching the river, and once during the winter. Didn't we tell you we're always watching? And they always are. In fact, when that winter scene happened, I had a feeling Alpha and them were watching. They're always watching. You never know who's a whisperer, because they're that good at acting like they're walkers. Until it comes down to fight, and then they pull out their knives and stuff. And obviously a walker's not going to pull out their knives. But sometimes it seems like Team Family has caught them before they were able to pull out their weapons. But still, you never know who is a whisperer. They're always watching. And now Team Family has to be punished. But Alpha's like, I'm going to consider the context. Don't be no bloodshed. I want your land, so I want this land here, you know, where the heads used to be. It's mine now. You guys get a south border by the creek, by the river. And Carol decides at that point, I'm just like at the wrong point to say, we don't have to listen to this now. It's like, listen to this. Listen to what? To what? And Carol's just like, this BS. Daryl's like, all right, that's enough. I'm going to take Carol so nothing bad happens. Alpha's like, no. No, you're not leaving till she lowers her eyes to my feet. Now, we know Carol's not going to do that. So, I mean, it is what it is. And then Carol all of a sudden fires a shot. And I'm like, Carol, no, this is the wrong time. Please don't get yourself killed or anybody else killed. In fact, I was dreading that episode. Truth be told, I watched the episode not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before. And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, somebody's going to die. She's going to kill somebody. Somebody's going to die. Oh my gosh. But that didn't happen because Alpha's like, listen, I forgive you, mother to mother, but not before she made that comment about Henry screaming Carol's name before they cut off Henry's head. Yeah, those are definitely what the kids call fighting words, definitely. We deserve one battle between Alpha and Carol. How it turns out, I don't know, but we deserve one battle this season just based on those fighting words. So anyway, Alpha says she forgives her, mother to mother, and she tells them, you know what, it's time for y'all to run, cuz, and she pulls up one of the sticks and she's like, it's my land. Bye-bye. And they end up running off, and then later on, Michonne and Carol are talking, and Carol's just like, well, Alpha has to die. And it's like, obviously Alpha has to die, but at the same time, they got to deal with her at this point. It's not like with Negan where you take down Negan and there's like a way to take down Negan. It's like with Alpha, the one thing I loved about the Whisperers was the fact that you don't know how many Whisperers there are. Like, when you're done trying to figure out how many saviors there are or were at one time, here come the Whisperers, and you don't know how many Whisperers there are because, again, they meld in with the herd. So you really don't know. You really can't distinguish them even by looks. And tonight's episode, well, episode 3, proved it. So Daryl said that he's worried about Carol, and I think he tells Michonne, like, she was on the ward at one point, and she was fine. She came back here, and she hasn't been the same since. Maybe she needs to go back or something. And Michonne's like, no, Carol belongs with us. And Daryl tells her Carol's not sleeping. She's out all night looking for the Whisperers. So maybe that's why Alpha is all up in her face, because Alpha knows that she's out all night looking for her. Or looking for them. Because Alpha says she's always watching, so Carol's sitting, or basically standing by herself, and these 3 figures move and run off, and Carol fires at them, and Michonne and the others run over, and Michonne's just like, capture them, but don't kill them. So then we cut over to the scene with Aaron and Negan, and Aaron has had enough of Negan. He said, I'm taking you back, but you have to tie your wrists, and Negan's like, okay, I'll go back, but I'm not going to tie my wrists. And Negan basically tells Aaron that he can tell when somebody is pretending, I guess, to be okay when they're not okay. And then it becomes another round of fighting words where Aaron asks Negan, or Aaron says something to the effect of, so basically you're blaming me because they had an argument about Eric's death. Like, is it my fault that Eric died? And Negan's like, well, you have to, the main thing about my saviors was that our motto is that we had to protect what belongs to us, or it will belong to somebody else. It's the motto of the United States, the motto of humankind as it is. So then Aaron takes it personally, and he's like, listen, if I failed Eric, then you definitely failed Lucille, because she died hating you, and she will never see you again. And Negan's just like, it seems like he was gonna say something or gonna react, but then he tells Aaron, like, behind you, and these hog moss covered walkers come up, and they basically grab him, and Aaron is fighting them, and one of them looks like he's about to bite Aaron, but Aaron stabs him, and gets all this hog moss in his eyes and he's temporarily blind. And I'm watching this scene and I'm just like, dude, I hope that Aaron does not go blind because we don't need any more blind characters. We're good. It's like Father Gabriel and the eye thing, which actually was an ailment for, if I remember correctly, a savior in the comics. If I remember, because I remember seeing his picture. And then when I read the comics, I said, okay, yeah, we're good with Father Gabriel. We don't need another blind character like Father Gabriel. Like, especially Aaron of all the characters. Like, Aaron's been through enough. He lost his arm. Leave his eyesight alone. So then we go back to Carol and Michonne and Daryl, and Carol continuously keeps popping those pills. And Michonne comes back with some intel from the others, and she basically says, we saw no sign of them, no tracks. Like, Carol, are you sure you saw them? And Carol's kind of looking at her like, yeah, I did see them. And right at that point in the episode, you're kind of questioning Carol, like, did you see it? Or were you seeing things? Like, what's going on here? So then Daryl comes up with the idea for them to find a place with walls to sleep in. And they all head into what looks like a nearby school or rec center or something like that. So Carol decides to take first watch, and she starts to hallucinate before that, though, because she finds a home economics book, and she looks on the cover, and it's an old picture of her, and it looks like the season 1 version of her with every one of the kids and, like, their faces in the way that they looked when they died, basically. And Daryl comes and talks to her, and she snaps back, and she sees the cover for what it is. So there's something clearly going on with Carol personally, along with the fact that she is extremely sleep deprived. So Carol decides to take first watch. She pops 2 more pills, and Daryl sees her. Then they jump back to the scene with Aaron and Negan. Aaron is blind. Negan abandoned him, and Aaron has to kind of meander around to try to find him. He meanders into a nearby house, is making all this noise, clicking on lights and stuff, and Negan's just kind of sitting in the background just watching. He could help, but because of everything that happened and because of how petty Negan is, he just sat back and let him do what he was trying to do. So then they jump back to Daryl and them. And Daryl's telling Carol this story about his father and how his father had, he was a truck driver at one point, and he suffered from sleep deprivation and swore he saw a girl on the side of the road crying, and when he moved closer to her, because she was on the shoulder of the road or something, she crossed in front of the truck, and he called the police. He got out. He couldn't find her. There was no blood. There was nothing under the truck. Nothing at all. And he tells her, you start seeing things when you stay up too long. This is what Daryl tells Carol. So Carol's shift is up, but she can't sleep. Then they jump back to Aaron, still meandering around the house, trying to find Negan. He's making all this noise, and Negan continues to watch. Then these walkers come in because they hear the noise, and that's when Negan jumps up and he takes down both of the walkers. And then he's kind of standing there like a maniac with that crowbar with the blood on his face and the blood dripping. And you're wondering, like, is Negan trying to fight old Negan and the desire to bash Aaron's head in and be done with it and escape? It seemed like it for a second. I mean, I can't be the only person who thought that. It seemed like it for a sec. And then he gives Aaron water to drink because Aaron's dehydrated because he used the water to wash out the moss and stuff out of his eyes. And that's when Negan reveals that the moss on the walkers was hogweed, and it causes rashes and temporary blindness. Sometimes not so temporary, sometimes permanent blindness. But in Aaron's case, he should be okay. And Negan decides to keep watch. Then we jump back to Carol, who's walking around, and she sees this figure that looks like the chick Samara from The Ring, kind of sitting down, bent down like this. And then when she walks away from the room, she hears Henry's voice talking to her, and she turns around, there's nothing there. And then as she's walking up, you see that same figure with a knife behind her. And I'm just like, did she just have a bad dream? And then she ends up waking up, and Daryl, like, she tells Daryl all about that dream that his father told him about in the story, and Daryl's like, my dad was never a truck driver, so what are you talking about? He asked her not to take the last 2 pills, and she still does. And then she tells Daryl, just let me keep a lookout for 1 more hour, and that's it. And then she sees something run past the window in the room where she's in, and she ends up following it straight into a room that looks like an old gym. And I call it an old gym because at this point, nothing is new. And obviously the gym has been left there. It's gross. It probably smells like mildew. It's old to me. So apparently it's a whisperer. And he's just having fun watching Carol. He's moving like Michael Myers, kind of like staring at her. And then he moves into the shadows, and Carol walks forward over some glass and gets ensnared in this trap and ends up upside down, hanging upside down. I'm just sitting there watching this the first time like, oh my God, Carol. Oh, is this going to be the end of Carol? And she struggles to free herself, and here comes the whisper, and he toys with her. He kind of looks at her like Michael Myers does when he's looking at his prey, leaning his head side to side. And then he ends up melding into the herd. And next thing you know, the herd comes over to fight her. And she's firing her gun. And she's stabbing them. She's doing pretty well. And basically she's able to cut herself free. But then she falls onto the glass. And all of a sudden, Michonne and Daryl come running in. Thank God they did. And Carol's standing there bleeding, surrounded by walkers. So then they take Carol back to Alexandria, and they're taking her to Siddiq so that Siddiq can help her. And Siddiq asks everybody to leave, and he and Dante are supposed to help her, but then Siddiq starts going through an episode of PTSD, and Dante basically has to take over. And rather than Dante kind of out Siddiq for this situation, Dante's just like, oh yeah, we were able to do it once he comes out after Siddiq. Yeah, we were able to do it. She's fine. She's doing well. And then we jump back to Aaron and Negan, and Aaron can see now, and Negan seems pleased with that. So has Negan changed? Maybe. Maybe not. Then we see Team Family, which included, for the most part, Rosita and Eugene taking down a mini herd wave. Later on in that scene, Rosita, who succumbs to sleep deprivation, finally says, Eugene, you have no chance of being with me. We will never be together. But her delivery is very harsh because, again, she's sleep deprived. But Eugene kind of, catches the hint. Because Eugene, he's a little bit foolish, but at the same time, he's a sweet guy and he's a smart guy and he understands. So he got it. And he basically told her that's what our friendship was based on. Me having a slight chance to be with you at some point. But now I really don't know if this is a friendship or not. The only blessing in that whole situation is that his storyline is going to go exactly like it does in the comics. Won't spoil it for you, but it's going to go that way. So, Eugene is pretty much heartbroken, and I felt bad for him. Now, we see Siddiq and Michonne chatting. Siddiq asks Michonne how she's doing, and Michonne's just like, I'm a mother, so sleep deprivation or tiredness is basically in the job description. And Siddiq tells her, well, he's a father, he's tired too. He does not admit anything about this PTSD, and he really should at this point. Dante comes over with some alcohol and basically tells Siddiq a story about soldier, because Dante said that he was a combat medic at one point, but he talks about this soldier who was handsome and debonair, and he was a great guy, and he lost his squad, and he came back all messed up, like most of the veterans, even in the current conflicts that are happening now. They come home from the military, they come home carrying their battle scars inside instead of outside. Quite a few of them do. And that's the cool thing about the character Dante, because Dante is giving them representation and that they're showing that, but they're doing so in such an empathetic way and not making it into a complete joke and making that scene a serious scene. So I liked it. The only reason why I know about that is because I did date a combat veteran who had just come out of the service when we started dating. It was a short-lived type situation, but yeah. So yeah, it definitely showed it, in my opinion, in an empathetic way. I don't know how you guys feel, but it was a very empathetic and sympathetic way that they showed it without making it into a big joke or making it into like Dante being this big scary guy. Dante's just a normal funny guy, but he has his issues, and Dante reveals that he was that guy to Siddiq. So basically that's his way of telling Siddiq, listen, I went through what I went through. I understand what you're going through to an extent. So then they jump back to Carol, who dreams of this domesticated life with Daryl, and all of a sudden Henry pops up after she looked at her watch and saw that like there were no like arms on the watch. He asks her, Henry, where are you going, Mom? Then she wakes up, she realizes she has no more like caffeine pills left to take. And then we see Michonne talking to Carol, and Carol's like, I saw those whispers. And Michonne was like, at this point, you were the only one who did see it. We didn't see the walkers. I don't think she was being harsh in saying that. I think that she was saying that, like, you might have seen it, but we have no proof. We have no evidence. We don't know what's going on at this point. And then we see Michonne talking to Judith, and she tells Judith it's safe for now, and they lay down to rest on either side of RJ, who's lying in the bed. Then Carol tells Daryl that Michonne doesn't believe her, and Daryl lies and says that he does, but he's just as skeptical as Michonne, and he's very worried about Carol. But the thing is, by the end of the episode, we learn that she's not lying, and she did kill a whisperer, and he was following her, and now he's become a walker. So do I think that Carol was lying about seeing the whisperers? No, she saw something, and that all comes back to Alpha being so calm after Carol kind of got nasty a little bit in her eyes and threatened her, and all of this was all on her. And the thing about the whisperers, and this is how in the video, is that they know the area better than Team Family. So they know how to get in and get out. And since they have taken on the guise of acting like walkers, they know how to walk back into their footsteps or footprints. So that's pretty much it. So I will be doing my review for episode 4, and I will have that up this week right after this one. I will be on TVCO tomorrow, Tuesday, October 29th at 7 p.m. Eastern to chat all about The Walking Dead. Pop on up and we can chat all about everything, whether you like the season, whether you don't like the season. It is what it is. I'm Sage Valentine, signing off. Check me out actually on Facebook, Sage Valentine, Twitter, Sage Valentine, Instagram, Sage Valentine 84, TVCO, Sage Valentine 84, and Violet Sunrise on Periscope. Until tomorrow, love you all. Take care. Peace out. Bye, guys. Love you all. Bye.